For it, Seth.
One more minute, one more minute. Mr. Secor, you're good to go. Have a good meeting.
Okay, thank you. All right, welcome everyone. It is Tuesday, December 14th, 2021. Welcome to the Scituate Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee meeting. I will read Governor Baker's declaration, and then I'll call the meeting to order. Governor Baker, his declaration of a public health emergency and the related emergency executive order dated March 20th, 2020 has been extended until April 22nd, 2022. This particular meeting, this committee has been and will continue to meet remotely until further notice. It will be recorded by Scituate Community Television and can be viewed live on Scituate Community Television Facebook Live. The recorded meeting will be available the following day on Comcast Channel 9 and YouTube Scituate Community Television. So with that, I would like to call the meeting to order. Do I have a second? Natasha is raising her hand. That is my second. All right, so I'll go to the roll. Ms. Yassine.
Yes.
Ms. Galata.
Yes.
Ms. Dre.
Yes.
Reverend Stewart.
Yes.
Ms. Swope.
Yes.
And I am a yes. So here we go. All right. I'm going to read similar to the last meeting or two, our at least current DEI safe, secure space statement. We're going to talk more about this later tonight when we go through the presentation deck for the select board. This is a safe, secure space for all people, especially people of color, and for all underrepresented people and communities. This is a space where people can bring up challenges and questions without fear. We will assume best intentions and we will treat one another with politeness and respect at all times. This committee is dedicated to these standards. We want our members and others joining our meetings to feel welcomed and respected. Thank you. All right, so let's get into it. Ruth circulated the minutes. Not sure how many times you had to watch the video, Ruth, but I believe Reverend Stewart helped with
And my
some
thanks to
notation.
putting those together. I really appreciate
Yeah.
that a lot.
Fantastic. So has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? And does anyone have any changes, thoughts, comments, etc.? I didn't personally have any updates. Okay. All right. So I will move to accept the minutes. Do I have a second?
A second.
Thanks, Angela. Okay, we'll go to the roll. Ms. Yassine.
Yes.
Ms. Galata.
Yes.
Ms. Dre.
Yes.
Reverend Stewart.
Yes.
Ms. Swope.
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. Welcome, Jamil, and welcome, Lieutenant O'Shea. Excellent. Right on time, because we are at the liaison reports time. So you'll notice it's a one-page agenda, which was the ask from Kathleen Gardner with the town. So easier to post and so forth. So I didn't get too wordy in the agenda, so I cut it back and so forth. But same amount, should be the same amount of detail that we covered tonight. So I guess, yeah, so Maura, I know you may have to jump at some point, at least for a bit. If we could start with the select board, anything to convey to the committee?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Happy Tuesday.
Just give you an update, the budget season has started. So this is the time in which all the departments come before the select board. We had the initial overview from Jim and Nancy Holt, our finance director. So we'll be looking at, close to an $80 million budget for fiscal year 23 to evaluate. So these will be areas that, we'll keep an eye on. This is where, when Bob comes forward, that we'll want to support any additional dollars for training for DEI that may not be considered and things like that. So that has just begun, and that began on the 7th. So really the next couple of months, really all the way in through February, March, the majority of our agendas are really taken up by the budgeting process and, the financial review. So that's really all. It wasn't an overly exciting meeting. We did talk about the wind turbine again, and voted to research additional mitigation there. And those are the two bigger topics from the last week. And as I said, we continue to be focused on the budgeting area, and that's really it right now. Not too much this last week since our last meeting.
Okay. Any questions for Maura? Okay. Let's see. Jamil, would love to get an update on the Freedom Team. Anything else of note going on in Scituate Public Schools and your world?
Boom. Okay. So good to see everybody. Happy Tuesday. Some people see it twice, Reverend Stewart. We were in another meeting earlier today. So this is something that actually is good to share. That we have, at the time, we're going under the name the Scituate Collective, I guess. And this is just a representative of different folks that are sharing in the journey of doing equity work. And so currently this includes folks represented from here, representatives from Stride, and conversation with Scituate Pride as well. And so we will continue to expand as need be and as it evolves. But at this point, multitude of organizations are represented. So I just named 3 people, but ultimately the other groups connected are still the Franklin Freedom Team and also LitPAG as well, the Parental Advisory Group. And so there are a number of groups that are represented in the collection of these organizations coming together today. And so today it was 5 of us today. Tasha, yeah, there were 5 of us. I'm just talking about what's going on in the different organizations and just trying to just really found the space officially. And so we'll continue to do that and set up a regular meeting time. And so everyone is represented there. And if we ever endeavor on anything new, folks from the different organizations should know about it and we'll be informed. The plan is to have that space so we all know what's going on and to also think about what we can do together, whether that be supporting each other's events or movements, or I don't know, it could be a rally, it could be a get together, it could be a barbecue, who knows, any number of things. But we now have this space where we all share on a regular basis. We're going to meet monthly at this point, so that's good. The Freedom Team we had our meeting and we were trying to get we were in search for a clinician that does therapy from a trauma-informed lens, and we lucked out and have 2 people. And so one is also connected to sorry about that. One is connected to Stride, and another is in a neighboring town. So it's just awesome that we're able to get that going. We're just waiting to get the lawyer confirmed, and that'll be it. But we also have a phone number and we have an email address that are ready to go. We just have to get the website going. But I feel that by January, sometime in the month of January, we'll be able to officially unveil it and be available to people to utilize as folks may want or need to.
You have somebody to create the website? I'm not nominating myself. I'm just curious.
We do not as of yet. We don't have anyone to create the website, but there are 2 people willing to put some work into it. One is Patrick Callis, and Patrick is a representative to the Freedom Team connected to the Parental Advisory Group, and the other is I want to say Elizabeth Robinson, I think that's who it is, has a little way with that. But I recently connected with the two people, it's a father and son team that did the webpage for the Franklin Freedom Team. And they said they would help us out in getting it going. But if you have somebody, hometown hero that can do it, let us know. We can connect with them. But we have some options there. So yeah, then I think, did I share with you all the library events that are happening that we're gonna do? We're gonna have starting in January, we'll begin to have monthly conversation spaces, and we're gonna also try to do a open mic monthly open mic experience as well. So that'll be monthly.
That's great. No, I don't
yeah.
think that was shared previously.
Okay. So yeah, those are happening. I want to say, no, it's not Alexa. Alexa's. I'm trying to think. There's a representative from LitPAC that's working with Courtney. Courtney Champagne is working with the library, representing the parental advisory group to see all of that through. I'm likely going to be hosting both of those in the beginning, but just to get it going, and it's not my thing, it's our thing, so we'll have some other folks who'll host it at some point. But let's just get it going. So that's the other thing. The parental advisory group is really moving. And so the 3 goals that the parental advisory group is working on now are working on right now include the mission statement for the group, the mission statement for the group, the working on the MLK memorial, and also doing community connections. The MLK Memorial is shaping up nicely, really nicely, and I think that we absolutely will have representation from every school, representation from the community, and it'll be a great event. So I'm looking forward to having this first of what I hope to be, 150 of them, kind of thing, So
And
that's great.
Jamil, that's going to be in the Performing Arts Center?
Yes.
Okay.
At 1:00 on the actual national
On the
holiday on January 17th.
Yeah.
Where's it going to be? I'm sorry, I missed that.
In the Performing Arts Center.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yep. At this point, I probably got to really be careful about including more people, because we were kind of at the fringes of what we need, what we would desire. I don't want it to be longer than 2 hours, and I was trying to make it 90 minutes really. So that's where I with that. So LitPAC is really doing that. Myself and Michelle Duggan is my partner on that one. Then also LitPAC, the community connections piece. There's somebody working with the library. Another person is working with Alexa Houghton is working with the local businesses. And they're just trying to, so we'll see what happens with that. They made some campaign that comes out of that. Who knows? And then Patrick is trying to do some connecting with MECO at some point. But something new that some folks may know about is that we just recently learned that our current director is actually going to be leaving. So that's a hit, and we appreciate Michelle. She, she's going to go on to something different. And to that end, we are going to ensue a search. So that's that. Anything else new? The lit teams for each school are getting toward the end stages of their first wave of adding cultural cuisine to the dining options. So we should start seeing those actually appear as options starting in January. I think that's a probably good place to pause. I'll add this. I'm beginning to line up guests for the podcast. So I know that the folks from the St. Luke's Social Justice Network have an idea that they want to do that as a play, and that's different and fantastic. I think it'd be great if we can have this group have a segment on the podcast, either host it or I'm happy to be the anchor and we can talk about whatever folks would like. Stride should also have a segment as well, and then we're working with some students who want to do some things on there too. the next lit line message should be coming from a student who wanted to do a poem on it. So that's a good thing. It's looking good. I'll pause there because I can just keep going on and on. I think there's just a lot of good things happening. The most surprising at this point was definitely the departure of Michelle.
When is she done?
January. The second week in January will be her last week.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Jamil?
I do.
Without, sorry, go ahead.
Jamil, you're working on so many great things. Are you making any plans to come before the select board to share some of your progress? I know you report up to the school committee, but especially with the Freedom Team, because it's such a unique new organization in our town, I think it would be great if you came before the board and let them know of all that collaboration that you've worked on and what you're putting together. Is that on your radar at all?
It was not, but I'm happy to do that. We can connect with them. And you know what? I'm just now, for some reason, seeing you, Angela. It's the second time I'm seeing you today, too. So I didn't want to make sure I mentioned that because you was hanging out earlier. But going back to the select board piece, yeah, why not? Sure. Whoever's my plug for that, let's do that. I'm happy to do that.
Okay, I'll reach out and see, we'll work through Bill and yourself to get you on there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. I will share that I had the privilege of being present at the Super Bowl. And I mean, congratulations to the team, but that game, it was a really good game.
Yeah.
Like
Crazy ending.
That's what everyone
crazy.
says.
It was to the last second, and the team just didn't stop. They didn't, and they made a very. It was a call I wouldn't make because I was saying on the sideline to do it, but it was a gutsy call, and they went for it. They had the momentum, and it was just an amazing energy in the space to just see all the Scituate folks. And I mean, like the number of people that showed up for that game was incredible. Like a whole big section of Gillette Stadium just filled with folks from Scituate, all kinds of blue in the stands. It was great.
I won't go down the football rabbit hole, but just for Jamil, for others too. The last time they played Duxbury, the same thing happened. They went for 2 and they fumbled the snap. So
I didn't know that's what happened. They lost the game. They lost by 1 point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a bit of a grudge match.
Yeah. So Coach Devine had that play ready. So yeah, it was good. It was good. I was going to ask, and I don't expect you to name names, but curious about the student take up, especially some of the high schoolers with a lot of the initiatives you have going on. How has the engagement been?
Good. I don't have. There's no concerns there. There hasn't been any resistance, so
good.
It's really good. I'm actually gonna, on the beginning stages of introducing a new organization called the Multicultural Council. So that's something new that'll show up. But it's been really strong, actually. So
excellent. Okay, good to hear it. Anything else for Jamil at this point? Okay, thank you.
What I want to add, because I might have to depart like around 7:40, something like that. But is that when I went to the library, I checked out the bathroom space. So when you're ready to work that out, we can talk about that. Because I know folks are supposed to go on a tour of the library, right, to check out the gender neutral possibility. So.
Yeah, I think half of us have gone to the library to check out the bathrooms after our last meeting. So yeah, that's great.
Okay.
We think we have a solution. So
right. All right.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a few minutes. All right. Stride. Ruth, do you have any updates?
Yes, in fact, the Stride meeting is tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Again, it is still online. In order to attend a Stride meeting, by the way, you do have to sign up to get their email because it puts you on the list. They send you out an email Zoom invite probably within an hour before the meeting happens. So just an FYI that if you think you're coming right as the meeting already got going, that's not going to work out. They had some security issues earlier, and that's why they do it that way. So this is a rescheduling for the October meeting. It's all focused on Indigenous peoples issues, and it's talking about, you know, what is Indigenous Peoples Day? What is a land acknowledgement? Why would one do that? How might we think about the town seal and redoing that is more respectful to Indigenous peoples? So this kind of goes into the background information about the efforts that have been made in Massachusetts and elsewhere. And it's pretty much informative and encouraging people that if they want to do something in Scituate, to get involved. So the idea is, you know, learn about this, see if this is something you would like to be involved with, because it will take a group of people to kind of move this forward. So it's kind of educational as well as hopefully inspirational to have more people think, yeah, this is something we want for our town. So I would encourage you, scituatestride.org or Scituate Stride on the Facebook to be able to sign up so that you get their email to be able to be on. Jamila, you had a question? You're muted.
I wanted to ask if you wanted to be connected with two members of the district lit committee. Steve Sweat and Sam Lesniak are working on the district-wide land acknowledgement piece. But what they're doing, they just shared their plan with the committee earlier this week, where they actually want to have all of the schools. This is great. Like the principals don't even know this yet, so you're getting exclusive information at this point. What the hope is to have the schools, each school that create a version of one, and then utilize that collective information to create a district-wide one. And so perhaps, and part of that is about educating on what it is, what it's about, and connections to Scituate. And so maybe there's a networking or collaborative partnership that could happen there. So if you know both of them already, feel free to reach out.
I do. I know both of them quite well, and Sam will already have been informed about this. Because she is a liaison, has been a liaison. But Steve, I don't know, so I'll get in touch with him tomorrow because I certainly can do that. That's an awesome news. Thank you, Jamil.
All right.
And very good to hear. I'm glad that the schools are also doing something independently on this.
Ruth, are those meetings, I can't make tomorrow night's meeting, or are those meetings recorded?
No, I've suggested that, but they have not ever done so. I can suggest that again, Tom, because this is, again, especially an informational meeting. I think many times meetings were some information and then a lot of small group.
Yeah,
of course, nobody would want that, you know, that's more private. So, but this, because this is what this is, I will suggest that tonight to see if we can't keep this as a resource.
That would be great.
But I don't know if they'll agree, but I can ask.
Yeah, that's fine. Just ask would be great.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Let's see. I think that covers liaison reports. Unless Lieutenant O'Shea, unless you have anything that you want to share. I don't mean to call you out.
I actually don't have anything to share. It's been kind of quiet. So it's a nice. Take it.
That's quite all right. All right. I don't see anybody for public comment, so we'll get slightly ahead of things. And let's see. Yeah, so let's go to the deck. Let me see the best way to share what I sent around earlier today. Let's see here. Okay, does everybody see that?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. I think I'll just keep it in this mode as opposed to slideshow. As long as the screen is big enough, we should be able to just roll with it like this.
Well, also that might allow you to make any corrections as you go.
Yeah, then the pressure's on because you guys are watching me type and it gets very
Yeah.
hairy for me, Ruth, but I'll do the best I can. So, all right, so let's just launch into this. So, so stepping back, so this is what we intend to go in front of the select board with next week. So I guess a question for you, Maura, right out of the gate. The meeting is next Tuesday?
Yes. Did you, have you been in touch with Lorraine?
That was my next question. I was, but it was a couple weeks ago.
Okay, here, let me double check and see if, because did she confirm that you're on it? What do I want to look at? I have something else open here. Hold on. We usually get like an upcoming meetings. 1 minute, agenda, potential agenda. Keep going, I'll let you know. I don't want to, let me see.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Well, I'll get going and then just,
Yeah, I don't see you on tentative agenda, so let me ask why, okay?
okay. If we end up having to move into
Typing away
January.
right now.
Okay, thank you. If it ends up, this could be a lesson learned for me, with how to get on an agenda, but
She's actually, she's right across the hall from me, so why don't I just pop my head over there and find out quickly if we're on the agenda for next week. I can do that quick and come back.
sure. All right, well, whenever we get in front of the select board, the idea, this is what I came up with. And, you know, some of this stuff, like I was gonna say to you more, depending on how much time we have, will dictate, you know, how fast we go, if we need to add slides, take away slides, whatever. Some of these we already saw. So given that this committee has not been in front of the select board since, I believe it was April 6th, maybe a little re-education is necessary. So,
Yeah.
you know, the charge itself that was given to us, okay. These are the goals that we all worked pretty hard on
Mhm.
in the initial weeks and months. Reintroduce who the committee members are, okay, and you see where I note voting members. You know, we've had a little bit of turnover, you know, having lost Nikki and Kim and Lucia, but this is where we are right now.
And Kim early on too.
And Kim Harriman too.
Yeah, and Kim early on.
I said Kim. I think I said Kim.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right. I'm humble. But yeah. Bob.
So.
I love this. I think this is great. I read through this. I think you're on track, in my opinion.
Okay. Bob, did you talk to Lorraine?
Yeah, I did. I talked to Lorraine. We're not on the agenda for next week, but she said if we want to get on the agenda, if I tell her right now, she'll do that. So if we don't do it this week, the first one in January, she says is booked, so we'd have to go a little bit later into January, the second meeting in January. But if we want to go on next week, I can, you know, I'll let her know and she can add us.
I'd prefer to do it next week.
Okay, I'll let her know. I'll be back.
All right. Thank
She'll
you,
probably
sir.
give you 15 or 20 minutes, Tom, just to give you an idea of time.
That's fine.
Okay.
We'll figure it out. You know, who's gonna present and so forth. It's not gonna be just me because I wasn't the one that did most of this work. So, yeah, so again, so that, you know, this slide again is just, okay, this is what we did. Just as an example, right? I mean, I had to go back through some of the minutes and so forth to remember, okay, you know, how long we actually worked on the questions, right? So those of us that have been involved since the beginning, and I parked those in the appendix, right? So, and I could move it up. It's just, if you guys have an opinion on that, I can do whatever, we collectively think is necessary. You see here, we focused on the 3 initial priority departments. We've had meetings with those departments. Follow-up meetings are necessary. For some, obviously, the Scituate Police Department, we had a treasure trove of information, and Amanda, you and your team devoted a lot of time, which was fantastic. And then, okay, what is our approach beyond that? So, we have these meetings, there's side subcommittee meetings and so forth. And our idea is, as we've seen with the spreadsheet that we talk about in most of these meetings, they start as opportunities and then they get moved along the path, right, to in-flight projects and then ultimately to recommendations, which is where we are now with at least a couple of our opportunities. This was in the first incarnation of the slide deck. So these are just some of the areas that we've focused a bit more on. Not necessarily the security camera piece, but certainly the sister city, the gender neutral bathrooms, the safe space norms, the equity task force, which Jamil just grabbed and ran with it, and training, which we'll talk about as well. So there's a status update in the deck, but not a recommendation yet. Okay, so now launching into it. So gender neutral bathrooms, I think there's 3, so there's 3 slides. There's 2 slides for the commitment statement, and then the rest of it is status stuff for the most part. So fitting into a 10 to 15 minute slot, I don't think would be too much of a problem. So this piece, I just got it off the internet. I'll be honest with you. I read a bunch of stuff. Kate, you offered to help. I said, let me just take a shot at it. This is my shot. If it's on point, great. If there's other ideas, great.
I think it's on point, and I think we can keep it fairly simple. I think if there's a request for follow-up information, we can always offer to provide more detail, but I think it's nice to keep it simple, and 15 minutes isn't a lot. Sort of thinking overall, if there's 17 slides in the deck, we might need to cut a few, just for a 15 minute. But I think it is fair to say that there's a real need for, gender neutral, single use, single stall bathrooms. For, we have a target group of transgender and gender non-conforming individuals. However, there's lots of other peoples that would benefit from this. And then we talk about how we're going to do it.
Ruth.
Question, Tom?
Yes. Did everybody freeze?
Yeah, I kind of froze up. Did you?
All right, you're back. You're back.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm freezing off and on. So sorry if I look a little vague at the moment. It's sometimes like it kind of stops. I really like this format, and I really like the bathrooms for the background information. I think that we really need to do that. And this is right to the point. My concern with the gender neutral bathroom presentation, however, is that what are you specifically asking the select board to do with them?
Well, at the very least, we need to install signage.
Right, so that we want that there should be, we want to be, where possible, adopt gender neutral bathrooms where feasible in town buildings. Signage, there should be signage, pay for signage and minor modifications as needed. And that new construction should be as per this type of bathrooms, should have that. So I think we need like a slide that gives 1, 2, 3 of what do we want the select board to say? They yes, we approve having gender neutral bathrooms and that these modifications should be done and signage paid for.
That's a great point. Yep.
A specific
And-
ask.
Yeah.
Ruth, you have two really good points too, because I wonder if we're also asking for a go forward for new construction for this to be
I would love a
considered.
go forward for new construction.
And then I actually just had a question. Do we need the select board's permission to change the signage?
I don't know.
I don't know who approves
I
that.
can't
but-
imagine we.
Well, town manager, town administrator, Jim would, but I think it's still, if there were any additional fundings, but Jim manages the budget, but for something like that, but it's still, I think it's still important that the board supports Jim and everybody in the efforts, right?
I mean, the signage is,
Absolutely.
you know, the signs are, you know, $20, $25 for each sign. We probably need 15. So that's,
It's not a lot of money.
not much money at all.
Yeah.
I think, you know, where there may need to be some more major renovations, the only real spot that potentially requires that, we're not even sure that we can actually, we can even adopt the shower, but at the Harbor Master Building, and any renovations there actually have to come out of waterways, I believe. So, yeah, but that's the only sort of potentially expensive proposition regarding the gender neutral bathroom.
And again, maybe that could be worded to encourage renovations as
Yeah.
budgeting permits, so that these are, I mean, again, some of this can be finessed
Mhm.
to see what we can get, but
I think that key point that you made, Ruth, and I don't think that I didn't see it in the slides, but just making sure that there's an understanding that all future renovations includes this, because some of the more recent renovations hadn't.
right.
So, you know, we just finished a couple renovations that didn't include this, and, you know, and. there's not
And
much
I'm
on that.
surprised because I know that that's one of the things with the Gates building,
Right.
that when that building was built, that was a definite part of that. And every wing of Gates, there are gender neutral bathrooms, and it's staff, student, anybody can use those bathrooms.
Mhm.
See, can't type. So this is what I'll say, because I mean, I've got, you know, I can move all this stuff around, right?
Yeah.
And we can put the actual recommendation on this slide here. So we don't have to, whatever, it's screwing with me. So yeah, I mean, I can have notes on size. There's plenty of,
And we can weigh
Plenty of
in on
space.
stylistic things before this gets done.
pardon me?
We can weigh in on stylistic, you know, if you can run things past, we can give comments or anything, suggestions to you later also, Tom. So this is,
Yeah, that would be preferable, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay. Other notes on this particular recommendation?
I had a question on, so we give kind of background of what we're doing, which I like. And then we go to our recommendations, which I think it's hard to note that they're really recommendations. I think it's to be really form, you know, recommendation number 1 to select board, back. Recommendation number 2 to select board. But then after that, can you go further?
Well, there's only 2, right? So I
Right,
mean,
but
there's,
go down your slideshow. So we have 2 recommendations, and then we go on to status updates.
right.
So I was wondering why they weren't before, and then our recommendations last, because I feel like we're background, recommendations, background.
Maybe for the recommendations, they're the most, I don't want to say like more important than the status updates, but they're the ones that we want like feedback on more immediately, right? Because they're the furthest along. So maybe
Yeah, I
starting
kind
with that.
of wanted to hit those out of the gate,
Yeah,
especially if we're gonna have time issues. We want to hit the recommendations before we run out of time. I'd rather spend more time on that.
Yeah, I just don't want them lost in the middle of everything else. I want it really clear that these are what this is what we're asking for action on.
It'll be pretty clear. Honestly, I mean, like I'll make it pretty clear
Yeah.
that what the recommendations are. And I mean, we'll voice that, right? That and I want other people there with me to the extent that people are comfortable. I mean, these are in person, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, the more the merrier. And we can talk about that aspect of it as well, right? So I love the people that have spent the most time on this recommendation or that to have speaking roles. I'm going to be the MC. That's it. I'll introduce it and I'll speak to it, and I'll make very clear from my initial words in front of the select board that we're giving them a series of information, including status updates, go back through our approach, but there are 2 recommendations that we are putting in front of the select board in the meeting.
And Tom, Lorraine will probably want you to email this final deck to her by late Thursday, Friday, so she can get it out into the backup materials for the select board so they can go through it and read it.
Okay.
So that they're informed before you get in front of them.
Yep.
Although I should add, Tom, I think she's off Friday, so I think earlier Thursday is better if you have it.
Okay.
Thanks, Bob.
All right. That shouldn't be a problem. But point taken, Ruth. We'll make sure that they are aware. Okay, where am I? All right. So just to recap, so for the gender neutral bathrooms, and I may reach out to a couple of you, I'll take a first stab at this is the actual recommendation. It'll be on that 3rd slide. They'll get the background on it. They'll get some of the research that's been done on it, looking at the buildings, talking to Kevin Kelly. People have gone and taken a look at places like the library, the Harbor Master building, why am I trying to remember? It's right here, and so on. So everybody can take a look at that. Bob took a look at this, gave me some feedback where, there's still some challenges with a couple of the buildings, but so we'll update the select board on that. And then here it will say the SDIC recommends point 1, 2, and 3. And there'll be a picture of the signage. Okay. All right. Commitment statement. I'm going to turn this piece over to Ruth and Angela. If you can talk to us a little bit about the background on this, that'd be great.
Sure. Ruth and I think in our maybe 2 meetings ago, we talked about safe space, brave space, and there was a great conversation about, what we wanted to propose to the select board and what we want to update on our own DEI, which we're putting to the side right now and focusing on what we want to recommend to the select board. And like I said, a couple of meetings back, a great conversation. I really liked the feedback and the suggestion that we make the statement say what we wanted to say and not get carried. I'm too concerned with specific terminology that's used now because that changes often. So what we have here is the background on what a commitment statement is and why we would use it, and what we would recommend for the select board is basically that they adopt a commitment statement, either the one we're suggesting, or the one of their own. The commitment statement should be read at the beginning of every select board meeting. It is a reminder to all the participants, and we recommend that the select board recommend to other town boards and committees that they develop their own commitment statement to be read before their meetings. And also that the commitment statement should be posted on the webpage or and in the annual town report handbook. So Ruth, I don't know if you wanted to add more to what's on this slide.
I think that, again, listening to our discussions, the word commitment kept coming up, that we wanted people committed to this work. And as Angela had brought out, there is the select board's DEI statement. And how do we integrate that into the work that we all do as volunteers? And I think that this is one of the ways you do that on a regular, ongoing, and again, it's that commitment to respect and inclusion for people who are part of this town business. And this is one way, again, it's a symbolic way, but I think symbols are really important. And so this is a symbolic way to show that.
So I think
Any questions on this slide? Because the next slide is just what we're recommending. So any questions, comments, amendments?
I think it's great. I love the change in, commitment versus, what was used prior. I mean, it was perfect before too, but I like it this time better. I guess only one thought potentially on the last slide, Tom, on 10. For the option number 1, I mean, I don't know, I feel like it should be this commitment that they use, not one of their own choosing. And does that open up
Well, we thought of that, but we're not going to, it's like a little too much hubris of us to say, well, we can decide everybody's commitment statement.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
wait,
fair.
we can
That's
choose our own. So, I mean.
Yeah. I just thought, maybe being more directive would eliminate any potential if, ands, buts, maybe, so's, but I think that's true. It's a good point. We don't want to force, that's kind of anti the whole point of this is forcing anyone to do something, I guess.
But that's a good comment though. And maybe if they wanted to use one of their own, they run it by the committee,
Yeah, right. I think that's a good compromise,
Yeah, just so we can see it through, the DI lens, which they've asked us for suggestions because that is our charge. So I think that's a great suggestion. They can use ours or they can come up with their own and, ask us to just review it, through a DI lens.
Yep.
Okay. And here's the statement, obviously, which I read something different at the beginning of tonight, which I think, in Angela and Ruth, correct me if I'm wrong, but the recommendation is that, I know it was spelled out, but we could continue to use the one that Angela wrote probably 6 weeks ago at this point, or we can read this, and other committees can follow suit, right?
Well, we decided not to even put out any recommendations for us at this point in time, Tom, because when we put too many things out on the table for us all, we get confused between different things. I mean, we've talked to Angela that we feel we can have a stronger statement even.
Yeah.
This has some weaker, I would call it weaker language. Things like including underrepresented people and communities, where I think our language is more especially underrepresented peoples and communities. I mean, I think we have a different focus, and I don't know that we can ask the same focus for the select board. So we didn't want to muddy the waters with anything for us right now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously ours has evolved, right? The statement that we used to read, it probably wouldn't fly with some of the other committees, right? So there's definitely, and it's not just Scituate, and there's others on this call that are more expert on this than I am, but there's definitely, there's a pro safe space crowd and there's an anti safe space crowd, right? That feel that, when there's language saying that we essentially have the right to remove you from a meeting, and so on. It infringes on free speech. And that opens up a whole box.
Yeah, and I think that was brought up, I think Mara brought up, if the select board needs to remove someone from a meeting, they've done it in the past and they will continue to do that. So we
Yeah.
felt it doesn't have to be in the statement. I think it should be, to be honest. To me, it's just, if you're going to behave inappropriately, you could be removed. But that's up to the select board. They already have something in place to handle that. So
Jamil.
This statement is a recommendation, right?
Yep.
Yes.
I only two things. One, I agree with what folks have said, and to that point, I think maybe we add that disrespectful behavior may lead to being removed from the meeting. I mean, they can always take it out, or this is for them to take it not. Why not put it there and then have folks determine whether they want it there or not? And the other thing is where it says underrepresented people. We just want to suggest using marginalized and minoritized, like including marginalized and minoritized communities, because the underrepresented isn't, it just has a thing to it. With the under there represented, there's a negative impact. But the minoritized and marginalized is a stronger, definitive vocabulary choice. This is some suggestions.
How do people feel about that? I like it.
I'd like to ask Maura's opinion on the first comment on about being removed from meeting.
Yeah, I don't think you need to do that. I think we talked about that a couple of meetings ago. I mean, we kind of have that authority anyway, and I think it detracts from the positivity of this commitment, in my opinion, to put that, you will be removed if you're not respectful. I mean, that's up to the chair to manage that, right? And that chair position changes yearly, and most of them, if things get unruly, they are asked to be silenced and, to stop screaming or whatever. And if they really get out of control where folks feel threatened, the SPD is pretty close by and will come in. So I don't think it's necessary. I like your other additions though, Jamil.
Okay. My only, it's not even a kickback to that or whatever, but is at some, depending on who's running the meetings, at some point, if folks were getting, I don't know if unruly is the word, sometimes it's an opportunity to engage in a conversation just at a different space and time or something like that. When you start removing people from the meetings, it sends a message, and is that the message that folks want to send? So I'm not necessarily flip-flopping, but just want us to be cognizant of what may or may not be. But if there's threat of harm and danger, absolutely, I think we can go that route.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're probably coming from a different perspective of committee meetings in Scituate. And the way that they've been run. So I've been on the board since 2014 and have been watching Scituate Select Board meetings for a long, long time. And I've never seen a situation where someone who is completely unruly and inappropriate has been allowed to continue, but that's just my personal experience. So
I hope that never happens. Recently in Franklin, are folks familiar with what happened at the last committee meeting before the election took place? So this would have been probably October. There was a student speaking on their experience as a member of the LGBTQIA plus community in the high school, and then there were some older adult folks that basically shouted her down and screamed at her and then shouted, "This is the insurrection," and it was just horrible. And this is with the chair trying to stop it and banging the gavel and things like that. And then there was at some point the next one, the police had to get involved and stuff like that. So that's just something that happened. And folks would never imagine that that would be the case.
Oh, we've had it happen. Trust me,
Okay.
but they've been called and removed too pretty quickly.
Okay. All right.
I guess that's my point is I trust that maybe I have more trust than you do. I don't, just based on my experience and your experience. But, if you guys want to put it in there and have the board debate it, that's always an option too.
And I didn't have it wasn't a job. I was just putting the information out there. It really wasn't I'm challenging you. This kind of thing.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't mean to come across that way. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, if you want the board to debate it, then leave it in. If the rest of the committee wants to leave it in.
I was talking about getting rid of the word underrepresented altogether.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I was going to say that's too many
Eyes.
adjectives there.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I also just wanted to jump in, suggest two wordsmithing. I do like the idea of changing instead of using including, especially, just to strengthen that a little bit more. And accepted, I'm kind of stumbling on that word. If others like it, that's just fine. I was thinking welcome and respected. I don't know if everyone is necessarily going to be accepted for who they are, but being welcomed, right? But just wordsmithing, feel free to use or not use.
I like the welcome rather than accepted. You're absolutely right. We cannot, again, we have to be careful what we ask, because not everybody will accept people's views. That is true. But you can welcome them. And then you were at, I liked include, I didn't feel we could use especially for select board. And this is again, what I'm going to ask for Maura to put her on the spot. As an elected board, to say that I will favor one group over another group based on any category, I don't think is a good thing for us to ask them. I think we have to ask for inclusion and respect, but I don't think we can put one group over another group for an elected body.
Yeah, I think you point out, you're such a good wordsmither, and that's why you were an English teacher for 40 years. I understand. I think that's a really good point. So I think including is probably more appropriate. But that's my 2 cents. You guys can all vote on it, and then again, the select board can debate it, right?
Yes, Jamil.
Another suggestion would be for it to say including marginalized and minoritized communities, and that just be it. Including marginalized and minoritized communities. Just leave it at that. But if you wanted to keep the last part of that sentence, might we use something like to feel authentically present or heard or something like that? Is that what we were going for or not? The other thing is,
I think that's what we're going for, Jamil, but I think not. I think perhaps these simpler words of welcome and respected will be more easily understood.
Exactly, Natasha. I think you hit exactly what my thought was, is that for our audience, I think that this will be more easily relatable to them.
Okay.
I think someone else had a comment, or no? So how do we feel about this? Here it is. Ruth.
That's my thumbs up. No,
Okay.
I'm,
I like these changes also.
yeah.
Okay, great. All right, so do we vote on this?
Sure.
Yes.
Why not?
We haven't voted on something in a while.
I know, it's exciting.
I'll second that.
All right, so
Wait,
we moved it to a
a
vote.
motion made by. I need a
I'll
name.
make the motion, and do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, great. All right, let's move it to a vote. Ms. Yassine,
Yes.
Ms. Galata,
Yes.
Ms. Dre,
Yes.
Reverend Stewart,
Yes.
Ms. Swope,
Yes.
and I am a yes. So, yay. All right, excellent. Now, we didn't vote on the gender neutral bathrooms. Okay, I need to make some changes to this slide with the actual just pointed recommendations, and I think I know what those are. Do we have enough information to move this to a vote?
I think so. I think with the discussion that we'd had, nobody's disagreeing that we don't recommend, we recommend that they support these. We recommend that they encourage to find the budget. I mean, however you're going to word budget, and going forward, we want this. So,
Right.
Support for gender neutral bathrooms.
Okay, so I would like to move this to a vote as well. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so I will call the roll to vote. Ms. Yassine,
Yes.
Ms. Galata,
Yes.
Ms. Dre,
Yes.
Reverend Stewart,
Yes.
Ms. Swope,
Yes.
and I am a yes as well. So excellent. So I'll make those changes, and I'll circulate tomorrow to people, just so that we have this nailed down. All right, great stuff. Let's keep going. So I've got a couple slides here on training, just to update those that haven't been involved in this. So we've had, I think, just the one actual meeting, and then I had a separate meeting with Elena to talk more, not just about training, but just more just history of the committee type conversation. So that was Bob Clark, Kate, Elena, and myself, and everybody's got great ideas. And Bob, I know you sent an email like a half hour before the meeting or something. I have not had a chance to look at it. I'm sorry. And we can certainly get into that. So so most of this stuff is from Elena. I just put it into the deck, right? So kudos for that.
I'll say it was from ideas from Bob and Kate. I just happened to type.
The team approach, team approach. So this is very much, we are very much in the review stage, Maura. So following, review, report, recommend. So I'd like to think that, however long it takes, it's not going to be 6 months. I think we have some momentum with training. So I'd like to see us bubble this up to a recommendation, let's say after a couple more meetings, right? So you can see the goal that I put in here. We can, certainly pick that apart. I don't think anyone, certainly in this committee, is going to, balk at us trying to push this. I don't want to say evidence or what have you, but I know, just personally speaking, we've had a series of education sessions in my own company. We've had speakers. We have a speaker series now once a quarter, and it's all DEI focused. And Now, granted, the people that work for me might be giving me lip service, but they seem to really like it, and they seem to be getting a lot out of it. And we're having conversations virtually, unfortunately, still because of COVID, that we never had before, right? So I'd like to think that this would have a similar effect. And I know that, you know, it's not about me. Elena, you had experience with this. Kate, obviously you had experience with this. So there's certainly, and I the Scituate Police Department, you guys already have a lot of this training. So being able to propagate that across the other town departments, that's really the goal here. So this is just a laundry list of things, you know, based on the meeting that we had, potential training topics. There's a slew of them out there. There's the Mel King Institute, there's KSA, there's, I think, Bob, you might have some information on local gov, because I did just quickly skim your email. You know, we talked about some challenges. Do we do it live? Do we do it virtually? Do people have devices to take training if it's virtual? Could we hold something in the senior center? Could we, there's the library, et cetera, et cetera. So we've got some ideas in here. We talked about, let me just go to the next slide quick, but we talked about essentially a pilot program. So do we grab a couple of town departments and kind of test that out? That would be a recommendation, by the way, if we want to go in that direction. But yeah, what did you say, Elena? Walk, run, sprint.
Yeah, that's what I use at my job. I
Love
think it works here. Pilot, you know, we walk before you run, and then we sprint, where we have something that can be used annually, hypothetically, or every 6 months or something.
Yeah.
So that's the idea. Bob, you want to talk quickly about, well, you don't have to talk quickly, but.
I'll try to be quick. So the one system we've been using is Local GovU, which is an online training program that we have through Mass Municipal Association, which is Maya, our insurance provider. And so it's free to the town. All of our, well, any of our employees who have regular access to computers and email are logged in. And so through that system, we can actually assign training, DEI trainings to employees. We've done that already. We've assigned a mandatory anti-discrimination training. So it was great in that we were able to access a lot, probably half of our employees are pretty regularly sitting at a computer. So it was great in terms of reaching those individuals. One of the frustrations that we had with that particular offering, I mean, they have 200 trainings, I think, through the system. A lot of them are focused on police, fire, and DPW, and they're things like traffic stops or, you know, chainsaw safety and things like that. There weren't a lot in this realm, but when I looked a little further, I realized that there were some offerings that through Local GovU that were not initially kind of purchased as part of the package through Mass Municipal. So I had conversations with both Local GovU and Mass Municipal, and I made some recommendations, which was great because I think they heard what we had to say. So they've changed the offerings, which was great. And they actually added a number of courses that were previously not added. And so I'm looking at the list, like for instance, cultural awareness and diversity, implicit bias, LGBTQ community, anti-bias for law enforcement. So a number of different new trainings that were not available previously. So we were excited about that. I mean, my sense is it's relatively easy to roll these out. It's really honestly a matter of just like kind of implementing a course schedule, and then everyone is emailed. I think we should intend to do that on a somewhat regular basis over the coming months. We could roll out trainings every 3-4 months. I don't want to totally drown people in these, but you know, we could get a lot out. The problem is that a lot of our employees don't have regular access to emails. or to computers. So we're working through that right now, developing some systems whereby, we've set up computers at the different like DPW sites and things like that, where they can take some time to sit down on a computer and complete some of these courses. So that's encouraging. There's a lot of sort of logistics that we have to work through, but I think that there's some, through local GovU anyways, there's certainly some opportunities. When we did meet, when we talked previously, Tom and Kate and I had spoken, and Elena, we were talking about the fact that it would probably be preferable if at some point in time we could have sort of live discussions where it's really it's a different format. There's a conversation going on. I think it's a different way of learning that I think would be effective. But it's a little bit difficult to pull that off with all these sort of, these different silos that we have here with, all these disparate sort of departments. So, but anyways, we definitely have some opportunities. We still have to work through some of the logistics though.
Okay. Great.
Recommend to put together an implementation plan at some point. Because I'd hate for this topic, Bob, just to kind of go around in circles. I know how sometimes these challenges can inhibit us from actually taking that step forward.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love to see us tighten it up a little bit, right? Put some parameters on it. Is it, by fall of 20, we've got to budget it, right? So I don't know where where your dollars are for training right now, but take a look at that and see. I just want to make sure there are dollars in the next budget as well to support training. And figure out how we can implement it.
Sure.
A piece of it.
No, I agree. I mean, I think, again, the local GovU trainings are free, but some of the setting up some of the systems and the even computer stations, things like that, there may be other sort of hidden costs that we need to address. And then again, if we want to do something more broadly and look at some other ways to kind of to access trainings, yeah, absolutely. I think there may potentially be an expense there. But I think that's something that we can do and get a sort of a tighter, create some timelines and get a tighter plan in place. I think it makes sense.
So as far as, I'm just thinking ahead. So I totally agree more, like having an implementation plan that really spells out, essentially department by department. Some departments may have one required training. There's might be some other departments that have 3. I mean, I'm just making it up, right? And who would, so I mean, that could be in our recommendation, or do we get that detailed? Kind of a question. Because we could help build the implementation plan.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, helping support Bob, right? Because he's going to be the one driving it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Tom, we regroup and, look at like some of these new offerings through local GovU and some of these other things that we talked about and just ultimately just, make some final decisions on how this happens. And then again, I think going through that process, we'll get a sense of like what potential resources we need to consider, if at all. But I think maybe it is a matter of us just sort of getting back together and making some final decisions on where we go with this.
Maybe it's by the next update, right? If we're coming in quarterly, maybe it's we put by the next update, we want to come back with an implementation plan. So we know we've got to identify, dollars, budget dollars and Bob's expense account or whatever, wherever that lies, right? So this is the perfect time to kind of tee that up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, I want to get into a quarterly cadence anyways, in terms of recommendations. It'll give us something to constantly shoot for, right? And build towards. Okay, great.
Tom, question?
Yeah, Ruth, yes.
Can I just recommend, and again, maybe this is part of your plan anyway, to have this kind of training be interactive and with discussion. I've sat through a lot of, watch the video, answer the questions kind of trainings. And it's considered a joke. It's there's more negative feelings than positive. And I think that
we all
to do
agree.
trainings, you have to make sure you're doing it well enough
Yeah.
that you actually get buy-in, rather than it be something that somebody just has to endure and see, I checked that box. Okay, I'm gone.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I'm sure we've all been a part of both types of training. We just have to assess like what the cost is going to be, right? Having a live trainer is going to be a different cost than local GovView, right? So, but that's just something, that's the research that we need to do. But I think we all agree. That was a big part of the discussion that we had a week or two ago when we met.
Yeah, and it's the logistics of that, I mean, you can't, close town hall or the fire station or the police station for an hour and a half, and we'd love to, the library, you can't do it, right? So how do you, so the logistics a little bit more complicated, but not that it can't be done, but, and it maybe just requires far more smaller groups, which is significantly more expensive, but again, maybe that's just the direction we have to go. But yeah, that's really what we have to work through.
Yep. Good point, though. Thank you. All right, let's keep moving. Angela, I apologize. I'm still working on this. I went back and I rewatched, portions of when our committee got in front of the select board back in April, just whatever. I did that last week, and I think it was Karen Canfield that said that she's been dying for a closer relationship with Cabo Verde for some time. So I know we're going to have buy-in on this. I just need to. I've got enough information to create the slide, and I'll share it with you, Angela. But then it's just a question of, okay, by next quarter, we should be ready with the recommendation, I would think, to say, okay, this is exactly what we're going to do. I think we already kind of know what we need to do, but I think we just need to formalize it a bit more. Is that fair?
Yeah, I agree. We have the information. And I also want to do that.
Angela, can you speak a little louder? Because I can't hear you.
Yeah, my volume. I think.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, better. Thank you.
I was reading this, Tom, and I love the PowerPoint, the presentation that you have. When I read English and I see Cabo Verde, I feel like I'm reading two different languages. So I'm going to suggest that we put Cape Verde.
I can do that.
Because it's in English.
All right.
Because when I see it in Portuguese, I expect to see it in Cabo Verde. But I think it'll be less confusing because people are more used to seeing Cape Verde in English. So I think we can keep it as Cape Verde, sister city.
Okay, great. Okay, so more to come on this. And then that's pretty much it. I put the questions in here just in case because I'm not sure if the rest of the select board have seen these. I mean, these were this was the gist of the questions that went in front of the town departments to have the department heads answer that we still have a copy of that on Slack. If anyone needs to see that again, I have it as well. I'm sure most of us have these in the answers, but just FYI, I don't plan on spending any time on it, especially if we've only got 15 minutes or so. And then this was the DEI statement that was put forward before this committee was even formed. October 2020. So
Well, I
that's
think
it.
it's great. I think it's great information.
Thank you.
And thank you for pulling it all
Thanks,
together.
thanks everyone. No,
It's a lot of work.
happy to do it. So again, there's some changes I need to make. If people have other thoughts on this, please do not be shy. I check email too often, so I will pick it up immediately. And I'm going to aim to get a final copy off in front of, I'll get a final copy off to everybody at some point tomorrow, and then I'll say, just please give me feedback by such and such a time, because then I'll need to get it over to Lorraine, correct? Okay. All right. And then we can firm up, like, do they, I'm sorry, but do they give us any idea as to like when we're going to speak or anything of that nature?
Yeah, it all has a time. So
Okay.
she'll let you know, so you don't have to sit there for the entire meeting.
That's okay.
We can take a look at the agenda. Sometimes things move faster than, so if, say you're on at 7:15 and you don't get there till 7:10, you want to get there a little bit earlier because sometimes things can go a little bit faster. But you don't
That's
always have
fine.
to be there right at the beginning.
Okay.
So you'll know. I don't know where it is now, but she's finalizing it. So you should know.
Okay, great.
I like to put you at the beginning when the board is a little bit more attentive than at 10 o'clock at night. Don't worry.
Whatever works. Whatever works.
I'll put a plug in for you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll be on vacation brain too, so I'm going to do my best to keep myself focused because I will be out starting Tuesday. All right. I don't have any. I've been working on this. I haven't done anything with the workbook, so I wasn't going to share that tonight. I don't know. Does anyone have any other business that they would like to discuss? And we've got our dates out here, and I think Ruth, you probably sent them to me for the entirety of 2022, but I've got like the next 7 months. So,
Mr. Secor, you are still sharing your screen if you want to stop that.
oh, thank you, Seth. It's not the first
Maybe,
time.
Tom, quick question on the presentation. Do we want to talk about now who's going? And because I know I said to you, like, I'd love to go and just meet you in person, and I know I'm the newbie here, but I'm gonna go.
Excellent. Look, the more the merrier. I mean, I would, as per my day job, I'm prepared to speak to all of it or none of it, right? So I would love for the commitment statement, I would love to have you, Ruth. I would love to have you, Angela. On the gender neutral bathrooms, I'd love to have Kate, obviously, Bob. Yeah.
I'll be there, Tom.
Okay.
I'm
The
just
only
saying,
thing
I got
I'll
something else
say
anyways.
is if you do have a quorum showing, you probably need just to post an agenda just to cover yourself. So you might just want to post one anyway, Tom, just in case a quorum shows up, because I don't want to deter anybody from wanting to show up, but you just post a quick one, select board meeting, presentation, and just to cover yourselves in case everybody wants to show up. And everyone's welcome.
I will say that for me, I will not show up because it's the week before Christmas and I'm just a little busy.
Come on, Natasha.
I know. And I know you all will do a wonderful job, so I'm not worried.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. All right. So we can firm that up additionally offline, but yeah, we will. Ruth, I can talk to you offline about an agenda.
Yeah, and that sounds, thank you for letting us know, Maura, because that certainly was not, I wasn't even thinking about that fact that,
Okay.
but that's certainly not hard to do.
All right, great.
The only thing I want to let you all know is that I am out of town on the 11th
Of January?
January. Yeah. So
Okay.
I will not be able to attend. I can send another select board member if you need one, but I will not be here. I'm in the wonderful city of Las Vegas. Yoo-hoo.
Yoo-hoo. All right. Does anyone have anything else that they would like to bring up? Okay, then I would motion to adjourn the meeting. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I will call the roll. Ms. Yassine,
Yes.
Ms. Galata,
Yes.
Ms. Dre, Reverend Stewart,
Yes.
Ms. Swope,
Yes.
and I am a yes. The meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Happy holidays, everyone. We don't see you on the
Absolutely.
21st.
Holidays.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Enjoy Las
everybody.
Vegas.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
I'll try.
Well,